Many people know that we've had about a 2-year period of massively rising prices, and they're thinking, houses are too expensive to buy now. I'm not going to get in real estate. We're at the peak of the market. And my question for you is, if you're not in real estate yet, what is stopping you from getting into real estate? We're going to explore that, and I'm going to debunk your excuses. What is stopping you from getting into real estate? Right now, the most common excuse is, but the market is so high, if I buy now, there's a chance that it's going to go down in value. Well, let's explore that and other options we've got. So it's true that over the last 2 years, mortgage rates have been at record lows. I think everyone knows that. And real estate appreciation has been at record highs. In short, real estate has never been more lucrative. But the fear is that the party is coming to an end, and that if you do buy today, things are going to crash. Let me give you my view on that. Right now, in the United States, there's a chronic shortage of 4.1 million housing units. In other words, to fill all the demand that there is today, we need to build or create somehow, by converting commercial buildings maybe, 4.1 million housing units, and that's a conservative estimate. It's not going to happen this year. It won't happen in the next 2 years. I don't think we're going to see a fall off in prices, and even if we did, the fall off is going to be temporary, and it's going to carry on again. I've got articles from a very reputable magazine called Time magazine, which state categorically that the era of owning a home as an investment is over. And that article was published in 1947. I've got another very reputable magazine called Business Digest, which states that the era of investment as real estate, where you can make money from it, is gone. Now you just buy a home to live in it. That's from 1969. There are always people who say, but it's not going to carry on going, and yet consistently it has. I think the excuse that prices are at an all-time high and therefore we shouldn't buy, it doesn't fly. I think it just shows that for decades, real estate has been a good investment. And by the way, the real measure of whether it's expensive or cheap shouldn't be the absolute value of a price. It should be what proportion of a person's income has to be spent on servicing a mortgage to live in a home. And today, that is cheaper than it has ever been. Now is a great time to buy. Another excuse I commonly hear is, I don't have the money to buy real estate. Well, do I have some good news for you? One of the beauties of real estate is that you don't need the money to buy it. And you might say, hang on a minute, Dolf, you're stretching the truth. Banks typically only lend 80% of the registered appraisal of a house in order for you to buy it. And with commercial property, it's even less. So yes, it's true. But I didn't say that banks will give you 100%. I said you don't always need 100% of the purchase price needed. So if a bank will give you 80%, then you just need to find the 20% from somewhere else if you don't happen to have it in cash. You might have another asset, an existing home or a property or something. You get a second mortgage on that. Or you go to a second cousin twice removed or an uncle and say, I found a great deal. I don't have the cash to buy it, but if you're willing to put in only 20% of the deal, I'll give you 30% ownership. And if you don't like your uncle, say, I'll give you 20% of the deal for 10% ownership, whatever you can negotiate. Or run an ad in the paper or go to an investment club and say, I found a great deal. I put the time and effort and energy into this. I don't have all the money. If someone's got the 20%, I don't have the money, but doesn't have the time, effort, or energy to find their own deal, join forces with me. Do a joint venture, do a partnership. You will always find the money if the deal is good enough. So here's another objection. I'm already in debt. You know, there's good debt and bad debt. And you can do a number of things. You can let your debt continue to grow and do nothing about it, or you can put your life on hold and not invest in real estate until all your debt is paid off at the age of 37.7 or whatever it's going to be. Or you can learn the lessons from debt and decide to do something today. So what I want to explore next is the difference between good debt and bad debt. So in my view, bad debt is debt taken on to acquire assets that go down in value. Things like automobiles or jet skis or holidays. Don't use debt to take on those assets or do those things, because you'll be forever trying to struggle to pay it off. However, debt used to acquire things that go up in value, like real estate, that's great debt. Because if you can buy $1 million of real estate with $1 million mortgage, and over time, I don't even care how long it takes, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. It goes to $2 million and your debt stayed the same because you are on interest only. You've created $1 million of equity that wasn't there before. So most people don't sleep well at night when they have too much debt. I'm one of those weirdos that doesn't sleep well at night when I have too little debt. I stay awake all night thinking, how can I take on more debt? You've got to start thinking that way too. Debt is good when it's good debt. Another typical objection I get is, but I'm too young to invest in real estate. Well, I have with me today Reese. Reese, you're about 12 years old, right? You don't mind me revealing your age. Have you had any experience in business already?
Yeah, I actually hired my brothers to sell lemonade for me, and while they're doing that, we live right by a golf course, so I go down to the golf course and collect the golf balls and sell them back to the golfers, and then the golfers hit it, and I collect them and sell it back to them.
I love this attitude, especially hiring your brothers to do the work for you at the lemonade stand. That is just cool. But tell me, are you ready to buy real estate, say, when you're 18 or so?
Man, I'd do it sooner.
Oh, there you go. That's the attitude that you want to have. You are never too young and you're never too old to buy real estate. Real estate serves the people who invest in it extraordinarily well. You're better off experiencing it firsthand than hearing about it in 20 years' time from people like Reese, who I think are really going to do it soon. Another typical objection I get, other than I'm too young, is the opposite. Well, I'm too old. Well, I tell you what, once a tenant is paying rent and the rent ends up in your bank account, neither the bank account nor your ability to spend that money knows how old you are. It doesn't matter. Real estate works whether you're in your 30s or 40s or 20s or 70s or 80s. I know people in their 90s who still get psyched up about buying yet another property. And for them, it's more of a hobby and something fun to do rather than they really need the money. But don't you have it as an excuse where you say, I don't know, I've hit 55 or 65. I'm now too old for this game. No, you're not. You don't know how long you're going to live. The average age at death in this country might be about 87 on average for men and women. But once you hit 70, that's not your life expectancy. The life expectancy of a 70-year-old is way beyond the average for obvious reasons because you've already managed to survive that long. So don't let age put you off. The best time to do it is now. Just get in there, have the gumption to say, you know what, if this works, if it is really good, if I can buy an investment property that is cash flow positive from day one, and the bank will put up most, if not all of the money, maybe not in a single mortgage, but maybe over 2 or 3 mortgages, then that applies no matter what your age is. Don't use it as an excuse. In fact, I'd recommend you sit down and turn everything off, the radio and the TV, and ask yourself, why aren't you buying real estate right now? A relevant question for you may be, what is stopping you from getting started in real estate? Now, what I hear very often at the moment is, but Dolf, prices are at record highs. We've had this growing curve. It's a bubble. We can't buy now. Things might crash later on. And you know about it. A dozen or so years ago, people would say, but we've had a crash and it's at the bottom. We can't buy now. Prices are too cheap. They may never recover. And somewhere between 10 years ago when we had the GFC, the global financial crisis, and today when things are at all-time highs, there must have been a time where some of these people surely, you'd think, would say, okay, now's the time to buy. But you still didn't. And the question is, why haven't you bought? Because my belief is there's no optimum time to buy real estate. There's no optimal time to sell it. At some stage, you have to decide, do I want to be in this game? And I believe I have compelling reasons why you should want to be. And then if you want to be in the game, instead of being a trader where you try and buy low and sell high, you have to get your timing right. And even if you get the timing right, you pay capital gains tax and profit and depreciation, recapture tax, and all those horrible things. Why not just sit on it for the long term? And if you accept that prices don't rise linearly, but they go in fits and starts, then just accept that you might be buying at a local peak or a local trough, but in the scheme of a 10 or 20-year investment timeline, it doesn't really matter. The trick is to buy something that is a bargain in today's market. Because I'm telling you, for every 1,000 properties on the market, 950 of them roughly will be at about market value, and some will be above market value, and usually they don't sell. But there'll be 10 or 20 properties which, for whatever reason, are selling at some ridiculous discount to market. Hunt them down, even in a high market. You will always have people that need to sell in a hurry for whatever reason. It's a divorce situation, or they're moving town and they just want to leave, or they're leaving the country, or they're too cheap to engage the services of a real estate agent. They'll say to you, why should I pay a 3% commission to some snooty-nosed 22-year-old kid who's just out of college who doesn't even live in the suburb? Why don't I just sell it myself? I know what it's worth. I bought it for $400,000 2 years ago, and if I get $500,000 for it today, I'm doing very nice. Thank you very much. 3% saved. And yet everyone knows it's worth $650,000 because there have been such great rises. Don't be the one lamenting this or complaining about this or watching too much TV. Be the one who buys that $500,000 property that's worth $650,000. I'm telling you, once you do one like that, you'll become slightly addicted and you want to do more. And it's at the point for me where no matter which property I'm looking at, even if it's the model of a home, I'm subconsciously and constantly looking at things that I can do to increase the value of this home and therefore increase the rental value. In fact, I believe this with such a passion, and being someone who always put my money where my mouth is, I wrote the book called 101 Ways to Massively Increase the Value of Your Real Estate Without Spending Much Money. And the truth is, you can spend a small amount of money on a property and the value of that property will go up a lot, whether it's the sale value, should you be silly enough to want to sell it, or whether it's the rental value. And I'm telling you, if you can figure out a way of generating an extra $100 a month from a property by doing something relatively simple to it, then that's an extra $1,200 a year coming into your bank account. You can get a free copy of this book simply by clicking the link below, where you can find out about all these things that you can do to your existing properties right now. And beyond that, you'll probably be spurned into thinking of a few things not listed in this book that you can also do. Click the link below to get your free copy to expand the revenue that you're collecting from your property portfolio. They say that when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I love this game. I hope you catch some of the fever too. They say that if you catch fire with enthusiasm, people come from miles around to watch you burn. I want to see you enthusiastic about real estate. Thank you for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, I think you're really going to enjoy the next one. Check it out. Keep an eye out for it. We'll see you then. In the meantime, as always, successful investing.